Hey Pace, I want to raise private money. Where do I find private money lenders? Where do I find people that will invest in my real estate business? Well, guys, in this video, we answer that question pretty in depth. We actually have one of my students, Michael Williams, brings one of his private lenders into a private Zoom with my other students and asks the question of, Pace, how do I raise money? I've got my lender sitting here right here with me. What's the documents I need? What's the steps do I take? And ultimately, this lender ends up investing with me. We end up getting about $60,000 that money is already deployed into some of our fix and flips, and it's a great video to see exactly what you need to raise private money with your friends and family. I've never seen anybody actually bring on a live investor and walk that investor through and educate them on all the things that are gonna need to be signed and detailed out when raising private capital for your real estate deals. So the question of how do I raise private capital for my real estate deals is pretty detailed in this question and answer coming up.
What's going on, Pace? Can you hear me?
How you doing?
All right. Can you hear me?
I sure can. How can I help you, Michael?
All right. I got a friend right here. He came into some money. He's interested in being a private lender with me. I just wanted you to explain to him the advantages of being a private lender for someone in real estate.
Oh, man, don't get me excited. I'll try and take his money from my projects. Dang. So Michael, there's so many advantages. It's so interesting. So I've got Tanisha here with me right now. Okay. And her and I went to lunch today and she was talking about how she's currently private lending some of her money as well, because where her money was before made her $12 last year. $12, all her money sitting in bank accounts and 401ks and all that kind of stuff made her $12 last year. So first and foremost, it's a really great return. Usually my lenders are anywhere between 8 to 12%, depending on the lender, depending on the project, et cetera. And they can't believe that they get a check every single month. Okay. So I've got doctors, lawyers, attorneys, janitors, nurses, people that are in insurance salesmen. Their favorite money they make every single month is the money they make from a passive investment in real estate. So they give us either money for our rentals, they give us money for our fix and flips, they give us money for a whole wide variety of things, and they have very little work to do except for receiving a check. So that alone, the true passive income of private money lending is one of the biggest reasons why people do it. Second, it's one of the greatest returns ever. Third, it is the only investment I know that is as safe as you ever really want it to be, because you're investing in something that you can see, smell, touch. You can go visit the property and you know where your money is located, rather than when I'm investing in stocks or I'm investing in somebody's startup business. By the way, guys, I would never invest in somebody's startup, like their app or their, commercial store or their clothing line. I would never invest in any of that stuff. The only thing I would ever invest my personal money into as a lender is real estate, because it's the only thing guaranteed to not lose your money. Right? And that's the most important thing, is when you're investing money, you want to make sure, first and foremost, what's my downside? Right, Michael? Like, what you got to make sure you're protecting your lenders from a potential downside, right? Let's say the market completely crashes. Does your lender have the ability to get their money out of it? And the answer is yes. Real estate is the safest thing ever. Now, one, it's really, really secure. Two, it's really, really quick. You get that money every 30 days. You imagine like investing in Bitcoin and just waiting and seeing if that would work out and pan out? Real estate's one of these things that you get to check every single month. You know it's working. You know it's panning out. You know you're getting a return. And then three, it's freaking fun, man. Investing in real estate is actually really, really fun. Do you guys have any questions, concerns specifically about raising private capital or investing in real estate that I can answer specifically?
Well, basically, I know I think you have some contracts that he and I can sign to protect him, because we want to make sure we do it legally, because he has an attorney that I want to show the paperwork to.
Okay, so here's the thing. You actually don't really sign an agreement or a contract with a private money lender. Okay. Can I tell you what you're actually doing? So when you are borrowing money from somebody, the agreement that they are getting is called a promissory note. I want you to write that down. It is not a contract. It is a promissory note. Okay.
Promissory note.
Also known as a note. Okay. A promissory note is the longer version of that. So this is what a promissory note looks like.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
So this is what I give. I don't really have anybody sign anything. I give them this. So here's the $90,000 that I received. So it will say promissory note, and this is drafted by my attorney, Sean St. Clair. So I'll send this to the Facebook group so you guys can have this and share it with each other. I've shared it 1,000 times, but I'll share it another 1,001 times happily. So you say, for the value received, the undersigned, the maker, which I'm the maker, promises to pay the principal sum of $90,000 and whatever dollars, or so much as may be outstanding from time to time, together with interest on the principal balance from time to time, remaining unpaid from the date of this note. And can you tell that this was written by an attorney?
Yes.
Okay. At the rate of 10%. Okay. So this is essentially, I guess, a version of a contract. I'm getting $90,000 at 10% interest. Okay. And it will then say, interest shall be payable in consecutive monthly installments of blank. Can you fill that in? Okay. Then you want to put in this when you're supposed to get your money back. And you'll see for a period of 6 months. So that this is a loan for 6 months. And at the end of 6 months, that lender will have received 6 payments of interest only. And at the end of 6 months, I will write them a check for their original $90,000. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what's great about investing in real estate is primarily the way I borrow money from investors. It's interest only. Okay. So what happens is that $90,000 never gets paid down. It does get paid back, but it doesn't get paid down. I'm not actually paying any principal. I'm only paying interest. So that check you get every single month, Lawrence, is interest only.
Okay.
I like to call it sushi money. It's like I can go out and spend it on sushi or whatever else I want. If I'm living in Atlanta, probably peach pie or something like that. Peach cobbler. Who knows? So then it says, any payment of the principal interest is not received by the holder, then a late charge of $100 may be charged by the holder. Who's the holder? Well, the holder is the lender because the lender is holding this promissory note. Therefore, they are called the holder. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm receiving this because I'm holding it. Any notice to be provided under this note shall be given electron, blah, 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 blah. And then it just goes into a bunch of other boring stuff. Just basically 2 pages. A very, very simple agreement. And as you can see, today is the October 5th. I think that this Microsoft Word auto-populated. So this document right here is one of the 4 things that you actually receive as a private lender. Okay, one of 4 things. Would you like me to tell you the other 3 things, Lawrence and Michael?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to get is that promissory note, right? So that's number 1, promissory note. Ooh, I don't like red. I'm deciding that black is the cooler color. So Tanisha says I should do pink. So I get the promissory note. Okay, the second thing that I get is a deed of trust. Okay, a deed of trust. Michael and Lawrence, I'm sure you both know what a mortgage is, right?
Yes.
Okay, a deed of trust and a mortgage are essentially the same thing. So, Lawrence, if you are lending money to Michael, well, then Mike, you essentially are the bank, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when you go to a bank to borrow money for a house, the bank gives you what is called a mortgage, right?
Yes.
So depending on the state you're in, it's either a mortgage or a deed of trust, but essentially they're the same exact thing. Okay. This document right here is also called so when I get a lender and I go, yeah, let's just draft the note and deed of trust, I very quickly say that phrase. That means let's draft the promissory note and the deed of trust. And then what we do is we record these documents. Okay. We record these documents at the county recorder's office. Because I want to make sure that I am secured. So when you ask yourself the question of, am I secured on this property? Well, of course you are, because guess what I just did for you, Lawrence? I drafted a promissory note that was written by an attorney. I drafted a deed of trust, and I took both of those documents and I went down to the county recorder's office and I recorded those, which means I put them on public record that Lawrence has a debt that is owed to him on this property. And this property, whatever that street name is, 123 Main Street, cannot be sold. It cannot be refinanced. It can't be, you can't sneeze at that house without telling Lawrence about it. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. So 123 Main Street, when you look up county record, you're going to see Lawrence's promissory note and his deed of trust recorded against the property. And it will show the actual percentage that's owed, the payment that's owed. It will, like, I can go pull up other people's houses right now on public record, and I can see who their lender is, how much is owed to them. All of those things are made public record by those items being recorded. All those things being recorded at the county recorder's office. Okay, so that's the third thing you get. The third thing you get is a set of recorded documents and a secured position on the property. Does that make sense, Lawrence?
Yes.
The fourth thing you do and you receive, this is something I give all my lenders, but it doesn't mean you have to give it to your lenders, is I give a lender's policy from my title company.
That's it.
And what does that mean? That means my title company, guys, you know what a title company is? It's actually very different from an escrow company. A title and escrow company are actually two completely separate things. People think title and escrow is the same thing. They are actually not. Okay? A title company is actually all they do is they are an insurance company. Desiree, title does not actually handle the transaction. Title insures the transaction. The escrow company handles the transaction. Okay, so an escrow officer is the person who actually does the work, right? So an escrow officer is the one that takes these documents, the note and the deed of trust. They're the ones that record it against the county recorder's office. And then the title company comes along and says, I think they did a great job of this. And in fact, I think they did such a dang good, daggarn job of this that I'm willing to give you insurance that makes it amazing for your lender, that if anything ever bad happens on this property, your lender gets paid out in the lender's policy. And I can tell you that I have actually had this happen to me. We had a situation where the escrow officer made a mistake on the paperwork. But because I purchased a lender's policy, which is usually $300 or $400, right? The title company had to pay my lender their $85,000 back because the escrow officer made a mistake. So those are the four things you get if you lend money to somebody like me or one of my students. That's what I teach. I teach those four things. And I'm going to tell you right now, telling you those four things Took me 10 years to truly figure that out. Nobody ever taught me that. I had to figure all that stuff out on my own. And that is the most secure you could ever be in a position on a property. I'm silent because I'm waiting for Michael or Lawrence to ask me more questions.
No, I have any questions right now. I'm very new, of course, to all of this.
Right.
And Michael's bringing me along baby steps.
Love it.
Absorb it as I go.
Okay, this is the only thing I want you to absorb besides those 4 things, right? And this is a recording, so you can go back and rewatch those recordings. The one thing I want to tell you is if you were my brother, Lawrence, you were my cousin, you were my father, you were my best friend, I would tell you to never invest in anything other than real estate.
Right.
Never. And what happens is I see a lot of people get a big chunk of money, inheritance, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go invest in this guy's, he's got a t-shirt company he's launching. I'm going to go be a partner in that. Have fun. I'm going to go invest in some crypto. I'm going to go invest in this. I'm going to go invest. The only thing that is reliable in this world that you can invest in is real estate. So I'm going to tell you, like, if you don't have to absorb much more than that.
Okay.
That's number 1. Number 2 is you are very secured in those 4 items. And now, number 3, the only thing you really need to know is, do you need anything from me other than my money? Because my lenders don't ever talk to me. They cut me a check. I tell them where I'm putting the property. They sign some documents. The title company, the escrow officer records all that stuff against the property so that they're protected and secured. And then my lender receives a check every single month. Same date, same time, unless it's a holiday, we'll pay them a couple of days early. Then, when I'm done with my project and I sell the house or I refinance it, another title company or escrow company will call you, Lawrence, and say, hey, Lawrence, Michael is about to sell this property and we need to get what is called a payoff. Okay, a payoff means we know that you loaned about $40,000, but we're just wondering, is there any additional interest we're not aware of? And we are going to tell you that we're going to close escrow in 10 days and you're going to get your $40,000 back plus any interest between today and when we close. So you'll get $40,000 plus, your daily interest for those 10 days.
Okay.
That phone call they'll call you back. Okay. They'll call you back at the end of the transaction when Michael sells the house or Michael refinances the house, and they will make sure you get your money before Michael has the ability. He physically has no ability to sell or refinance that house without you receiving your money. It's impossible. There's not much more to absorb than that.
It sounds good so far.
That's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
And Pace.
Yeah.
Answer like I said, I'm a beginner, but if you have something and he wants to invest with you, is that possible? You want to be one of your lenders?
I mean, Lawrence seems really cool. Lawrence, how much money do you got?
60.
Michael, here's what I would do. If I put Lawrence into a project with me, I would require you to be involved in it.
Okay.
So that you learn along the way. Cause I don't want Lawrence as my private lender long-term, but if Lawrence wants to do a project or 2 with me so he can get his feet wet, I would want you guys to work through that together. So when you get that $60,000 back at the end of the project, you and Lawrence can start investing in wherever the market is that you're going to invest in, and you already have the feel of the way it's supposed to roll, if that makes sense.
That's what we want to hear.
Sound good?
Yes, sir.